What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back for career mode. The My Team journey in Season 3. This is the Brazilian Grand Prix. And as promised in the last episode, we are doing a 100% race around this racetrack. 71 laps of the Interlagos circuit in tribute of Ayrton Senna's home race this episode. So, let's kick it off with some R&D upgrades. Before we do that, we are going to invest in the team. Large donation gives us a big boy profit in the team acclaim, so we'll absolutely scoop that up. Favor some focus for Ayrton Senna as well. Like anything that I see in the activity timeline that boosts his focus, I'm absolutely doing, because we want Ayrton to be, well, it would actually be a dream to see him win his home race, so we'll try and do everything in our power to make that happen. I mean, I think I'd almost want to see him win over myself winning this race, as much as we need this win ourselves. 7 points is the difference to ourselves and Max Verstappen in the driver's standings, adapting all of the rear downforce, or as many rear downforce upgrades as I can for consolidation for next season. And that's where we stand, heading into the 56th race. Still the best car, no one wanting to upgrade. Upgrades at this point are pretty much useless, because you're going to lose them next season unless you can consolidate them for the regulation change. So, here we are, guys. We're getting towards the end of the season. We are really racing through it now. I think this is the 4th to last episode of Season 3. That man right there is very much under pressure. Momentum is on our side. We've made up a nearly 100-point deficit at this point, so Red Bull must be panicking at this point, but the job is far from over yet. This is a circuit that could easily catch us out. Tyre temps are always a bit of a concern here, given how hot the track is and how high speed some of the corners are. Anyway, we've got a problem already in practice 1. Our DRS is broken. It's stuck open, and we're just cracking on with our practice program. This is going to be tricky, going up this right-hander. Oh my god, it's actually stuck. I wasn't expecting the car to actually handle that perfectly. That was amazing. I went through there at full tilt. How about this fast left-hander, which is sketchy at the best of times? That's fine too. Wow, DRS being open has no effect on F1 2021. Realism. Any Formula 1 drivers want to confirm if that's possible? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, we got away with that pretty scot-free. If anything, maybe boosted our pace. We were struggling for tyre temps on the front right, which was not ideal. And that was that on the medium? I think that was on the medium. So that's slightly concerning. We'll have to lower the tyre pressures again, heading into qualifying, and the race itself, which are going to be raining. So everything we learned, we can throw out the window, because it's time to put the wet setup on. Let's do this. Yes, I can confirm that I do have eyes like dinner plates for the start of this quali session, because I really don't know how this is going to go. I have absolutely struggled for pace in the wet before at Brazil. Hopefully we don't have such issues today. P14 in my opening run. When I did set my time initially, I was pretty fast in Q1. Yeah, I made the most of a faster track, I'm guessing, right at the end of the session, which is fair enough. We move into Q2 now. Ayrton goes P1 on a 12.0. And that would be why he's the only one to set a time. Anyway, it dried up towards the end of the session. We're going out now on a set of soft compound tyres. Probably wondering why I'm not on mediums, because the race is going to be starting on the intermediate tyre. So qualifying tyre doesn't matter. We can absolutely send these tyres to the Shadow Realm, and that's what I intend on doing. Final couple of minutes in the session, we're going to have 2 runs at this. Ocon is a little bit slow, and in the way you can see his ERS light is blinking. He's not on a lap, he is on an out lap, and he gets completely in the way. at the end of our qualifying run. It's fine. It's absolutely fine because we can go again. We got enough fuel and time to set one final lap, and Ocon is trying to overtake me on the straight. He's not happy ruining one lap. He's got to ruin both laps. As we set the fastest lap, it doesn't matter. We're out of qualifying because Ocon has been so selfish. Here's the replay, and we're going to slow this down as well. Watch the red light indicator as we head down into turn 1. It goes white. And I, in that split second, decided to move over because I thought I was clear. The game said I was clear, but that's obviously not the case. RIP. Any chance of improving in this qualifying session? I hope that time we've done is good enough to get us into Q3, because there's absolutely no way we can improve now. We've got floor damage, we've got front wing damage, we've got emotional damage, and people are continuing to find lap time. Sliding down the order. We blocked, or I didn't block. It's the guy on the left. It's the AlphaTauri. He's slowing down to not overtake me. He thinks I'm on a lap. So conveniently, the AI like to get out of the way when I'm not on a lap. And I'm limping. They blocked Hamilton as well. I'm pretty sure they blocked Gasly as well. This is just overtake me, bro. This is actually causing a massive traffic jam. I am limping. I've got damage. I'm quite clearly not on a lap. It's okay. You can overtake me. No, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. By the way, through this shit show, we're down to P12. Everyone has improved, and we are not going to progress into Q3. All because Ocon didn't want to leave space. He didn't want to let me go on my... Oh my god, they've got in the way of the Red Bull too. Wow. I have no words. All this because Ocon got in the way on both laps and didn't want to leave space starting his own lap. He chose to ruin his own lap. He chose to ruin both of our laps. It makes absolutely no sense. This game is a mess. That's qualifying. Thanks for playing. P12 on the grid for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and there's going to be absolutely no benefit from it because we're all starting on a wet tyre. Well done. P12, 1.7 seconds off the pace, multiple grid penalties. Perez, Armstrong, and Vettel. Yikes. I think it was Armstrong who was doing the worst there. He absolutely did not want to overtake me. Perez, I think, got a bit unlucky, but that's the way it goes. Max Verstappen is going to have grid position at the start of the race. I hope my teammate's done well in qualifying. We'll see the grid as we start the race rundown in a second. But here we go for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Wish me luck.
Tough luck there. It's not quite where we'd want to be on the grid, but chin up, it's not the end of the world.
Welcome along then to the place where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the final corner. And it's the place, a year later, that Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's Interlagos, and it's time for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil. It's a 2.7 mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights for a total of 15 corners. But it's a wet one today, so grip and visibility will be at a premium, and the drivers will need to be careful coming up the hill in Sector 3, the scene of many an accident over the years. It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. And Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are 3 big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Hamilton, Sergio Perez, and Gasly, Norris, Ricciardo, Benjamin, and Lance Stroll, Verstappen, Senna, Marcus Armstrong, and Russell. Vettel, they've taken a grid penalty. Ticked him. Yuki Tsunoda, and Mick Schumacher. Mazepin, Ocon, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Latifi and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid.
Okay, we need a good result today if we want to catch Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship.
Calm down, Jeff. It's not that dire. It's only 7 points now, and we're actually starting ahead of our championship rival. Max Verstappen has a grid penalty, as does my teammate, and quite rightfully, Esteban Ocon. I'd like to say, or I'd like to think that he got a penalty for what he did in qualifying, but no, I'm sure it's just a mismanagement of the engine components. Anyway, we're lowering the tyre pressures. I just want to be absolutely sure that we can get through this race nicely, because you never know what the wet weather will bring. Here we go, 71 laps of the Interlagos circuit here for the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's 5 red lights, and we are underway for the 4th to last race this season. Sketchy start, to be honest, trying to get this thing off the line with heavy race fuel. He got the inside of both the McLarens, and we're getting the big squeeze from Lando Norris there. Definitely didn't see us, because he literally only had tunnel vision. We were more than alongside. How's the car?
No need to worry about tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good.
Okay, that's positive to hear. We don't have front wing damage. On lap 1 of a not 171 lap race, could you imagine? Could you imagine? I'd be here all day. Anyway, decent start. We've actually gained a couple of places, which was nice to see. Can we get up the inside of Gasly? Yes, we can, as he hesitates behind the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. Someone's got damage up here. One of the Ferraris is going a little too slowly for my liking, and it's allowing Valtteri Bottas to run away with his race. I mean, it's only been 1 lap, but that is quite the margin to build out in only a minute's worth of racing. So, yeah, Bottas looking supreme at this stage. Can we get close to Sergio Perez? He had a little bit of a wiggle on the exit of the corner, but we had a couple, and that's, hello.
We anticipate an end to this rain in around 5 minutes. Inters seem like the fastest tyre for now.
Cool. Rain ending sooner than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be a long time before we were on the dry compound tyres, but yeah, I'm not too sure how to feel about that. I'm still not sure what our pace is like, because in the rain, we were down in P14 in Q1 and Q2. Didn't even make it into Q3 with a decent lap. It's really hard to tell these days with the AI doing their stupid cheating simulated times in qualifying and the AI level being all over the place, circuit to circuit. It's an actual nightmare to get it right. But I think actually, now that we're in the groove and in the rhythm right here, I actually think the difficulty is bang on in this race in particular, because we're struggling to get past Sergio Perez. He's not really holding me up. We're running it pretty much the same pace. The only thing that's really undoing me here is my exit out of the last corner. If I could get a better exit out of the last corner, stay closer to him, we might be able to dive bomb into turn 1. So that'll come with time, I imagine. We're still getting used to wet weather conditions at this stage. The AI are on the pace from lap 1, so I'm sure we'll get there. Sergio's starting to struggle a little bit with traction on the exit. We're as close as we've ever been. We're going to go for it up the inside into turn 1, and we have definitely lent on the car way too much. The tyres screaming for mercy. Inside front lock up, and Sergio gets the place back. We actually lost time out of that, hence why we didn't get a penalty. But there we go, taking to the escape road. Nice and slowly through there. We lost time to Perez, and if anything, the Alpine behind has gained on us. And we might have to protect a little bit. Not too much, as they weren't really close enough to have a go. So, yep, it's P6 once again. Purple to the middle sector last time by. So we are slowly starting to find some form, some pace. But we're boxed in behind Sergio Perez at the moment. We're running a high downforce setup. 11.9 wings, which is not lending itself well to actually getting past in overtaking zones. So if I had clear air here, I think we'd be faster than Perez. Maybe Hamilton as well. Pit stops. Pit stops, is this new inters? No, it's dry compound tyres. We're getting called in for dry compound tyres at the end of this lap. That one kind of snuck up on me a little bit. It's still pretty wet out there. I'm not sure that the dries are going to be ready for soft compound tyres, but here we go. We are coming in at the end of this lap, I imagine. Front right is now overheating. We're going to have to back off on this lap in order to look after the temperature of the tyres. That's going to be the limiting factor, I imagine. But as long as we keep it together and in one piece, we won't lose too much time on this set of intermediate tyres. It's still very wet on the circuit right now. I'm still not sure it's ready, but you don't want to carry on too much longer after DRS has been enabled. So into the pit lane we go. Absolutely made the most of that pit lane entry. So we should be able to make some time on Bottas and Leclerc here. Hopefully we'll be fairly close and maybe actually jump Sergio Perez potentially. Out we go for a set of soft compound tyres out onto the circuit once more. No traffic for Hamilton and Perez, unfortunately, and yeah, actually they have made up some time on me. Maybe 3 or 4 seconds. It's going to be close between myself and Gas. No, it's not even close. He's got me too. Wonderful. P7 in the Brazilian Grand Prix. That's not a disaster, though. That is absolutely not a disaster. We get fresher tyres for the rest of the race now for the next stint, which might prove to be massive, because this could be a long stint. It is actually set to rain again, according to the race strategy. So this might be a big stretch stint trying to get to the intermediate tyres, and that extra lap on inters might actually help me as we go the inside of Pierre Gasly into turn 1. We tried the same move on Sergio Perez to no avail, but this time
Good job, nice overtake.
we get the deft touch on the brake pedal absolutely perfectly. Here's the replay up the inside. That is brake upgrades and a lot of bravery for you. P6 in this Brazilian Grand Prix. Thank you very much. Another replay? Sure, why not? Boost my ego even further. Don't mind if I do. So, yeah, we got Gasly. We're going to set after Sergio Perez once again. They are in a bit of a train here. One of the Ferraris, Charles Leclerc, is dropping back a little bit after that first stint. He was on pole position. Oh, fastest lap, hello. He was in the top 2 at the start of the race, so it looks like he's dropping off or doesn't have the pace in the dry, potentially. But, yeah, it looks like he's struggling, and hopefully they start battling, and in which case we'll be able to make up a few seconds here. So we're going to try and stay consistent, try and bang in these fastest laps while we can, absolutely deplete the ERS. We're over-fueled as well, but that was not by choice, because we went for the minimum fuel allotment in this race, and we're still 6 laps, nearly 7 laps over in terms of fuel. That is absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, lap 12, starting to catch up to the next group of cars. Charles Leclerc on the move, trying to get past, is that Lewis Hamilton up the inside? No, he blocks that off. Round the outside of turn 4. Bit of wheel touching there on the exit of turn 4. And Hamilton is going to stay ahead just about Charles Leclerc, using all the ERS to get up alongside into the fast double right-hander. And he gets the job done. Hamilton displaced down to 4th. Tasty stuff. So, those guys squabbling brings me into the fray. 1.5 improvement over our previous best lap. We are slowly creeping up on the race leaders. Valtteri Bottas breaking away from this little group. Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo proving to be the fastest guys on circuit at the moment. But yeah, Ferrari, Mercedes have ascendancy in this Grand Prix. We might make a move on Perez up the inside into the double right-hander. Went in super deep there in order to get the track position. He had to leave the space on the inside, and then we parked the bus on the exit. There's the replay. Very desperate move, and in a quite unorthodox part of the circuit as well. We've got high downforce, and we're really making that work through that very fast double right-hander. Got close enough in the braking zone, and the rest was history. It was, yeah, it's proving to be quite difficult to get through this pack, actually, with the high downforce that we're running, especially since we're in a DRS trend as well. There's Max Verstappen pumping in fastest laps like it's no man's business, and we're going to get involved in that little fastest lap battle between the two of us. That point could prove to be crucial at the end of the season. Max, you cheeky devil. There's only 6 points in it. Maybe 8 points if it stays as it... Oh, no, it's not going to be 8 points. Max is a good few positions behind us at the moment, but, you know, I'd rather be ahead in the race than have the fastest lap. That's all I'll say on the matter. We are gunning for the victory in this Brazilian Grand Prix. Still many, many laps to go. 56 laps to go. Still a lot that can unfold in this Grand Prix, especially with weather on the horizon. But it's good to be pumping in these faster laps now while it's dry, because once it starts raining again, it's going to stay wet for the rest of the Grand Prix. So let's make sure we can keep that fastest lap towards the end. Hamilton slowly losing pace relative to us. Purple to the first sector. We're going to go for a move up the inside like we did to Sergio Perez. And that one was a lot more clear cut. It wasn't so desperate. We're a lot closer to Hamilton. And we practiced the move a few laps earlier. So we're able to get the job done a lot easier that time. P4 now in this Brazilian Grand Prix. Tyres, well, wear-wise, not an issue in this 100% race, but temperatures, a little uncomfortable. Uncomfortably high for what I'd like at this stage of the Grand Prix. Still a lot of fuel on board, a lot of energy going through the tyres, unfortunately, and the right front is seemingly not able to bear with that for the time being. I used up a lot of performance, lent on the tyre quite a lot, trying to get past Perez and Hamilton. Mazepin getting in the way now. Thank you very much for that. That's absolutely amazing. I've lost like 3 or 4 tenths to Charles Leclerc. I was in the DRS of the Ferrari. He lets the Ferrari go, but completely gets in the way of us. And now Hamilton is going to have a good run on us on the run into turn 1. Front right tyre is still overheating from that move on Hamilton. And it's all in vain because Hamilton's got us back anyway. P5 once again. Thank you very much, Mazepin. I really appreciate that. I don't know what it is lately about Mazepin. He's just always getting in my way, whether it's career mode or co-op career mode. He just loves getting some on-camera action, it seems. He's a massive fanboy of the channel, trying to make appearances as much as possible for those Haas sponsors. Anyway, lap 19, slowly recovering in terms of tyre temps. We seem to be in the working window once again, so let's hopefully go for a move on Hamilton. We've got the DRS on the run into turn 1. He doesn't have DRS, so that might make this slightly easier to the inside. No, we're going to go to the outside and pull that off around the outside of turn 1. A little bit of wheel on grass action there, which you'll need to get a replay of, but that was high risk stuff here. Hamilton moving to the inside, then he moves to the outside again, and I'd already committed to the outside. Just enough space to stay on the circuit, as you'll see on the slow-mo. Right front tyre dips into the grass. We don't lock up the tyre, we don't run wide, and we get the job done on Lewis Hamilton. It's not too often you can get a move done like that on a 7-time Formula 1 world champion. Banging tyres into turn 4. No cigar for Hamilton on this occasion. I need a breather. This race is pretty intense. We're slowly, hopefully, pulling away from Lewis Hamilton. 7 tenths is the gap. We're trying to make some inroads on Leclerc once again, but now that we've fallen out of DRS, it's proving to be very, very tricky. Not sure we have the same pace as Bottas or the Ferraris at this stage, at least running in clear air. Seems like they've got better dry running pace at this stage, and Leclerc is just absolutely kicking on in this race. He was maybe a little bit slow at the start of the Grand Prix on Inters, but now in the dry conditions, on worn tyres, he's absolutely flying, trying to go the inside of Valtteri Bottas, who was leading the Grand Prix earlier on. Now Carlos Sainz is leading. The form book is really all over the place at this stage. We're only not even halfway through this race yet. First warning for track limits. A little bit of a clumsy one there as we were trying to push on quite hard, trying to catch up to Bottas. We are in the DRS now, so that makes life a little bit easier for us. We can actually back off a little bit in the corners and cool out the tyres.
Great work. That's
Wow, fastest lap with an overheating front right tyre. That is not bad at all. It just shows how effective the DRS is for us, especially because we're running high downforce. We can run uncompromised through the corners because of our high downforce up the inside of Bottas. Hello. Hello, podium. Nice to see ya. But yeah, when we can get DRS of cars ahead, it boosts our pace massively. We need to be kind of backpacked in this Grand Prix to have good pace, it seems. We finally get Valtteri Bottas. We're now going to work away at Charles Leclerc, finally, once again, but we've got another Haas up the road. please don't do anything stupid. He's getting out of the way of Leclerc. Same corner as Mazepin, and shock horror, gets in the way of us. What have I done to Haas to offend them? Honestly, these guys have it out for me. This is an absolute joke. 3.6 seconds to the race leader, Carlos Sainz. Now let's properly see what the Ferraris can do. And what they can do is not finish. Charles Leclerc is out of the Grand Prix. Engine failure for the second Ferrari. That might well bring out the safety car and bring us onto terms with the race leader, Carlos Sainz. No safety car as of yet. So we're going to have to press on with this race. But that is poor timing for the Ferrari. Only one left in this Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo making moves on my teammate Ayrton Senna. Looks like he's going backwards a little bit, which is a real shame. I really thought Ayrton would be the form driver of this weekend. In the best car in Marduk Motorsport. His form is somewhat decent. His focus is good. I just thought he'd be more of a threat, but he didn't qualify well. We weren't present in Q3 for him to get a good time in, and he's been kind of buried in traffic ever since the start of the race, having to did he have to double stack behind me? I don't think he did in terms of the inters to dry switch, so I don't know what the excuse is there for Ayrton, but he's struggling a little bit for pace at this early stage. Carlos Sainz into the lane for another set of soft compound tyres, as are the Red Bulls and the Mercedes. My teammates in as well on the very same lap. Very busy pit lane, it seems, on lap 29. We cross over to 31, and we're just going to press on until the rain hits. I don't think it's long before the rain is... I think it's actually hitting now. First drops are on the screen. So I was asking Jeff over the course of this race when the rain was going to hit, and it's coming now. The AI have timed that poorly. Some of them are going to have to do an extra stop. Bottas and Verstappen have stayed out the extra lap, and maybe now that they're seeing that it's raining, they're going to stay out on their soft compound tyres. Mine aren't even worn. Mine are not even worn. They're not even 30% worn at this stage. So I don't know why the bulk of the field has come in for another set of dry compound tyres with the weather looming. It's pit stop time at the end of this one. We're going to go on to intermediate tyres, and we're going to effectively gain a pit stop on the likes of Sainz, Perez, Bottas, and company. They've essentially thrown away the race, especially Carlos Sainz, leading by over 4 seconds. And looking comfortably better than me on pace in the dry. Not sure about the wet. I feel like we are more set up for the wet, so it would have been a real battle with the Ferrari to see if we could topple them for the rest of this Grand Prix, but we now have a 9-second lead over the rest of the field because of their poor strategy, really costing them in Season 3. Tyre wear upgrades, man. You need them on the car. I don't know if the other teams have them on the car. We are a tiny bit better than some of the other teams, but I think for the most part, every other team should be maxed out, at least in terms of the top 4 or 5 teams. Anyway, nice little moment there on lap 39. Completely unforced error. Just trying to push on the intermediate tyres, trying to make good pace. Slowly but surely trying to increase that to try and just make the race a little bit more comfy for us, and we overstretched the limit of the tyres there. Thankfully, no damage done. That was a pretty big snap, actually. We had to catch it quite quickly. We're now getting through some of the lap cars. So here's a taste little lap car montage. We are pulling away from Bottas and Verstappen, by the way. Verstappen has fared really well because of people doing an extra dry compound stop. He stayed out on his softs and has jumped 5 or 6 cars there to be on the podium now. So Verstappen doing really well recovery drive, just like he did last race, keeping his championship hopes alive, believe it or not. So yeah, Verstappen P3, we're going to gain some points in the driver's standings if this keeps up. Another pit stop now for the AI, and they are going on to a set of wet compound tyres. The rain is briefly going to be heavy rain, but it's not going to be for too long. Maybe 10-15 minutes, Jeff was saying. So for the time being, I'm actually going to monitor the situation, and we are going to see what the pace is like relative to the AI on our own intermediate. Some of those guys have come in for another set of inters. So Verstappen and Bottas here have come in for inters, but the rest of the guys inside the top 10 have come in for wets. And they've come in again. Have they? Yes, they have. They've definitely come in again because now we're leading by 40 seconds. So not only have the AI had an absolute blunder in the dry stint of the race, they've stuffed up the wet stint of the race as well because they've done 2
Forecasts
extra.
suggest the rain is going to be lightening up over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. You should start finding more grip as we clear the standing water. Full wets seem like the best tyre for now.
They've done 2 extra pit stops relative to us. I mean, I am taking a little bit of a risk here, staying out on the intermediate tyres, but we're not really losing that much time. We're in the 16s on inters, and the guys on wets are only maybe half a second a lap faster than us, so it's not really worth the pain of taking 2 pit stops because they had to pit for wets, and eventually they're going to have to pit for intermediate tyres once it does eventually dry up, which won't be too far away. We've got 11 laps left in the Grand Prix. Still, we're not losing a crazy amount of time. We're lapping another Haas. I feel like every 2 minutes I'm lapping one of the Haas cars. They must be like 5 laps down or something ridiculous like that. I'll be interested to see how many laps down they are at the moment. But yeah, the AI have really balls this one up, to be honest, especially Verstappen in this second phase of the race. Mick Schumacher's out of the Grand Prix. We just overtook him as well. So what is... Oh, VSC's been deployed. VSC has been deployed. We're not going to come in for wet compound tyres. Hopefully the inters stay warm while we're circulating at slow speed. We should be just about okay. But yeah, a lot of people are retiring around me. Maybe there's some kind of race leader curse going on here. But yeah, we're keeping pretty good pace to the leaders. We are managing the gap really. Driving quite well. We're putting a lot of energy through the tyres, and I think that's what's keeping them warm, to be honest. Not losing much pace at all. And now, as we get towards lap 66, the tides have turned once again, and the rain has kind of dissipated. The inters are now faster again, so we're going to see that gap to sides creep back up again, hopefully towards 40 seconds. We're also getting close to lapping our teammate, Ayrton Senna. He's the next car up the road. So 5 seconds to my teammate, and he's going to get lapped at his home Grand Prix. I, for his sake, hope that isn't the case, because I have done this 100% race specifically for Ayrton as a special memento for this season, and has not been a race to write home about. P10 for Ayrton Senna, and only 1 corner away from getting lapped in this Brazilian Grand Prix. Is that Timo Glock? No, it's not. I hate to make that joke about Ayrton Senna, but he has been lapped on the last corner of the last lap. We're going to win the Brazilian Grand Prix. I don't know why it's a somber mood, but we've absolutely dominated.
Great drive. We did it. Good job.
Wow. 40-second win. When Sainz was arguably faster than me today, I don't know how they threw it away.
Here we are then, a real team effort to overcome their rivals for a memorable win here today. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on circuit and have come out on top.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium.
Boom. P1 once again. Is that 3rd race win in a row? Potentially. So, yeah, life looking pretty good for Marduk Motorsport, at least on this side of the garage. Carlos Sainz still happy to get P2 in the end. Maybe it was a Ferrari strategy call, maybe it wasn't. Down to Carlos Sainz in the end. The bulk of the field doing 4 stops. Esteban Ocon doing a 6-stop race and ending up in P12. 2 laps down for those guys. I want to see those Haas cars though. 5 laps down for Nikita Mazepin. That is insane. I felt like I did see him a lot, and that pretty much confirms it. Where's Max Verstappen in this race? He started off slowly, had the grid penalty, got up to P3, and then threw it away when he came in for intermediate tyres when it was time for wets. That, Verstappen and Bottas threw that away. Carlos Sainz had great pace. It was really weird because different teams had great pace in different conditions. The Ferraris were great in the dry, but the Mercs were pretty fast in the wet, but weren't really able to showcase some of that pace. But we were good in all conditions, to be honest. We just kind of bottled it in qualifying, but thankfully the points are not given out on Saturday. We lead the championship by 10 points over Max Verstappen. It has been a 110-point turnaround at the top of the standings. I don't know what to say. That just leaves me speechless. That's the greatest comeback in Formula 1, and the season is not even over yet. Max Verstappen, stop bottling it. Get good for the next race, and we'll see what you can do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you need to see plenty more racing game content. That has been the Brazilian Grand Prix. 71 laps of strategy, and I think we absolutely nailed the strategy. It was hard to know what to do at the right time. I think we put the AI under a lot of pressure, and they tried a few things. Didn't exactly work out. So for the future races, if we have more wet Grand Prix, then I'd be more than happy for that. Not too sure what Grand Prix we're going to next, but I know we've got Saudi Arabia coming up, and well, I'm a little bit nervous about that one. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time for career mode.